Have you ever been faced with a giant amount of material that you need to get through in a short amount of time? And I'm talking books or papers or anything that you need to read and consume and understand in a very short period of time. Well, I'm going to share with you a few tricks that I picked up along the way that I've tried and I've tested and I know that work. I picked these tips up from none other than Tim Ferriss, so you know they're coming from a good source. And those tips actually have to do with speed reading. I know it sounds like a gimmick, but stick with me. So I have 3 tips that'll help improve your reading efficiency. So here's the first tip. So the first tip you need to do is actually convert the page that you're reading from a journal to a full page script. And what I'm talking about is, again, the way I learned it is with a regular book. And why you need to convert it to a full page is what you're going to do to help you improve your reading speed is use a pointer finger to trace your eye movement across the page. And what you find out is normally, if you're not using anything to move your eye across the page, your eye will jump from a few words at a time to the next few words to the next few words. And this actually slows you down because as you're jumping, you might miss a word and have to go back or lose your place altogether and reread the same line. I don't know if you're like me, but if you're tired or it's been a long day and you're reading, you might realize you've read the same line 2 or 3 times before you actually get to the next line. Obviously, this cuts down on your speed in reading and also your retention because you're really not paying attention. So using this technique, you have to convert things into a full page. It just doesn't work when you're using a journal article like this and having these short lines across the page like that. You can kind of get through, but it's best to use the entire page width. And how you do that depends on the document that you're using and the type of computer, and trying to stretch it out as much as possible. You might have to zoom in on a PDF to print, or convert it to a Google Doc or a Word doc and print it out on a full page. Again, the whole point is actually using your finger to trace the words across the page. So you're following your finger and not relying on your eyes just to move across the page and jumping. Just by doing that, you're going to notice that you're going to start reading a little bit faster. One test to do for yourself to prove that this is actually working is time yourself. So pick a page, either in a book or a paper, and read a paragraph or 2 and time yourself, doing it the normal way you would. And then do it again for a similarly sized passage in that book or paper by using your finger at this time and see what the difference in terms of time is when you're reading. What I bet you will find is that you've actually improved your reading speed since you've been able to get through that content faster. And what you'll find with practice is that you're actually going to be able to do it faster and faster and retain more and more information. So the second tip I have is you actually need to practice. This is a skill just like anything else. You're not going to pick it up right away. It's going to take a little bit of practice, so be patient with yourself. But what you'll find is as you're reading through the document or the paper or even the book, what you're doing is changing the speed that you're reading at all throughout the page. You're not reading at one consistent hyper-fast speed. You're slowing down when things seem important and then speeding up when you're going through fluff. So the third tip I have is get comfortable in rereading. So again, speed reading is kind of a misnomer in that you're just going to blow through pages and be flipping through an entire book and consume all the information all at once. That's really not the case. When you're reading with this technique, you might actually have to go through passages that are important 2 or 3 times to fully retain the information. But again, you actually end up reading faster because you're cutting out all the unnecessary information that you don't specifically need. This technique will allow you to focus on that high-yield material most efficiently and focus your time there rather than just getting through the fluff of the whole document. So again, those are my 3 tips for helping you improve your reading efficiency. So I want you to try this at home. Pick up a book or a paper and test yourself. And let me know down in the comments below whether or not this worked for you. After practicing on a few different documents or books at home, I want you to leave a comment down below. So if it worked for you, write speed read. And if it didn't, write bullshit. Thanks again for watching. This is the type of video I do want to start layering in with the PharmD content to actually improve some of the other aspects of our daily lives or professional lives in any different capacity. If you have any other thoughts on what we should be covering on this podcast, please let me know. Send me an email, drop me a line on social media, and thanks again for watching.